What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Terror Table, a horror movie podcast presented by the Saskatchewan Podcast Network. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Mitch.
And I'm Buzi.
And today we are discussing Excision from 2012, which was written and directed by Richard Bates Jr. But before we get things rolling here, we'd like to share a few words from this week's sponsors. So the first one is from Direct West. Direct West is a proud partner of the Saskatchewan Podcast Network. Is marketing getting in the way of running your business? Things like updating your Google listing, thinking of a headline for a billboard, or making sure your website is in good shape? That's where Direct West comes in. You can get local expert marketing help for your business at directwest.com.
Yeah.
Is your window open?
Yeah.
Can you hear that bird? It's good now. It's like as soon as I mention it, the fucking bird shut up.
Oh, no, I was listening to you. Shit, did I ruin that?
No, it's all good.
Oh, is it the crow?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll close my window. I didn't even hear it.
Yeah,
Cheryl Crow out here. This old bitch.
Goddamn, trying to steal your weed. Yeah, Buzi, do you want to tell our listeners about our other sponsor this week?
Yeah, our other sponsor for the week is Fright Rags. You can save 10% off at checkout when you use the promo code TerrorTable10. They got a new line of The Thing merch, Shaun of the Dead, Last Drive-In, and new merch from the Creep Show TV series, which has 2 episodes out right now on Shudder.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, two episodes of season 2. Yeah. I still haven't checked those out. Have you watched any of those yet?
No, I haven't checked out season 2. I really liked having that access of just watching it all at one time because I was on vacation when I watched it. So I kind of want to wait till maybe a better opportunity and I can just binge it.
You're a madman. Binge watching Creep Show.
That's one of the only shows I actually have an interest in binge watching. There's not a lot of shows that I can do that with.
Yeah, it's boozy shit. You like the anthology horror stuff.
Yeah, like that and Mindhunter I can cancel plans for.
It's too bad that we have had our plans canceled of Mindhunter season 3. God, rest in peace. All right, well, with that all out of the way, let's talk about horror. So, Buzi, it's been, I think, a week since I talked to you. I talked to you on Inside the Sequel last week, where we talked about Godzilla 1998. Yeah, our last episode that we recorded for the Terror Table was with David Hopkins from Erie International and Chris Hurtado from Inside the Sequel. I had them on to discuss Godzilla versus Kong. Have you seen Godzilla vs. Kong yet?
I have little to no interest.
Really?
I'm 100% honest, and that's nothing against you guys being hyped on it. It's just I have zero interest in it.
That's so weird for a monster fan.
I know, but it was because King of Monsters I didn't like that much.
Oh, this is way better than King of Monsters.
It's like someone's going, "Hey, you didn't like Skull Island and you didn't like King of Monsters. Now put those together, and you're not going to like that." I'm like, well, I don't like that math.
That's true. You weren't a fan of those ones, but yeah. I still think you should give it a watch at some point because there are some moments that I think you'll enjoy. But I think it's definitely not your type of kaiju movie. Like you like monsters attacking the city. Yeah, this is monsters beating the piss out of each other and
do they do a great job?
Oh my god, man! I think it's awesome. I think the fight sequences are hilarious and so much fun. He really did play it off like a WWE match. I listened to an interview with Adam Wingard and he was describing Godzilla as the heel.
Really?
So he put in some work for it. But make no mistake, the movie is dumb as hell. But it's enjoyable as hell too. I can't wait to watch it again. I'm going out to Jambies next weekend and we're going to watch it on his projector so I can watch it again. I loved it.
Okay, so that's a big seal of approval right there.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I really like I wasn't crazy about those other Godzilla movies either. Mm-hmm. I'm a big fan of Kong Skull Island, and that's the other thing too, is that it's very much Kong's movie. So I think that might be something that will turn you off because you're not a big fan of Badonka Kong.
Not really. He's too much of a simp, and that's real.
You and Chris, and you know what? Yeah, he's a little bit of a simp, but there's a little bit of simp in all of us. I think we know that.
So you feel like you can relate with the Monkey Man on that level?
Oh, absolutely. I relate to the Monkey Man on so many different levels.
Okay, so I just want to ask, when you're watching a Kong movie, because we've actually been, I don't know if it's blessed or cursed with a couple in the last I don't know, within our lifetime, right, that we've got to digest is, what do you like from Kong that he's doing and not doing? In the way where, like, I like the classic idea of Kong going to New York, smashing shit up. I love that classic idea, but they've done so many different takes on that. You know, like the Peter Jackson one or whatever. Like, which is your favorite version of Kong? Because this one sounds a lot different.
Yeah, Skull Island is my favorite, just because I think it's ridiculous and crazy.
So
but
you like
Godzilla
the idea of the original, where it's like the first half where they're just on the island.
But that's like, there's a lot of really cool things you're going to learn when you do, if you eventually see Godzilla versus Kong. Like, sure, the movie, it opens up like way, way, way after both movies. Like, these Titans have had time to age, and like Kong's bigger than he was before. He's hairier.
Oh, okay.
And,
so he's kind of turned into like a silverback.
Totally. And man, like the visual effects are just like, I'm that guy who like, I love Marvel stuff. I love superhero movies and stuff like that. But even I have trouble with some of the visual effects sequences, because it's kind of like our friend Nicholas Humphrey said on a recent episode, where it's like, it's hard to care when everything is so artificial. But the thing is,
your eyes have nothing. Your eyes and body, like your mind, have nothing to latch onto when you see just images. You know, in that way.
But that's what I think they did. Like, I don't know if it was just because I hadn't been in a movie theater in close to a year, or if it was just that they really crushed it on the visual effects. Because like Godzilla especially looks so good. He looks so good.
So
and like, there's moments.
Is he like looking real mean the whole time?
So fucking mean, man. So mean. Like, we honestly thought that he was scary in this one. Like, there's a couple moments where he's creepy. And
that's what you want out of him, right?
Yeah. Like, you know, you see the scale of like how much both of these things could just destroy the world. But yeah, I'm very curious to hear what you're going to eventually think of it. But I think if you get nice and doobied up, you'll be good. Yeah, I know. Last time we talked with Alexis Olenek, like, you still had some movies that you had on your list. So I think you got a bunch to share today.
Yeah. Okay. What all? I'm trying to remember, just because I already finished listening to the episode. I can't go like. What else did I talk about? Because I know we talked about Saint Maud. I'm just trying to make sure I don't double talk to things this lit. Did I mention Bird Box last week?
I think you did that a couple weeks ago. Okay. Or that might have been last week, but...
Okay, I got that out of the way. Jurassic Park Camp Cretaceous, I'm pretty sure I talked about.
Yeah, you've been talking about those quite a bit.
Okay,
well,
I finished that, actually. I finished both the seasons. Excellent show, if anybody wants to follow up on that. I know a couple people are interested. I checked out Unhinged.
Yes. Okay. Fat Russell Crowe. Let's go.
I like I said, man, my favorite Russell Crowe is Fat Russell Crowe. Not that has anything to do with him as an actor, but like, holy shit, this is a really good movie, and I think this is a great hidden gem. Honestly, like, I know it's gonna get buried in a little bit, but it is such a cool revenge movie, and it didn't feel stupid. I felt like, because we've seen these kind of classic ideas, right? But I think this had such a fun way of doing it where you were really engaged with everyone the whole time. I don't know. I liked this movie a lot more than I thought I was going to. And I know you said you really liked it as well. It's just something about this movie. It does such a good job of separating itself from like your typical action movie and kind of something that goes as far, let's say, as like a house that Jack built on an extreme end. I'm talking about extremes. Yeah. And it kind of sits in the middle because there's a lot more psychology and violence and blood and guts in this movie than you expect. Like, holy shit. But I guess I'm sorry I used House of Jack built on one end, but I'm just saying that like it has more in common with that than it would a typical action revenge movie that you think your Russell Crowe would be in, maybe in his past, when I guess that would be his prime. Like, this is a new Russell Crowe, and he is stepping into a really cool role, and I love it. I want to watch this again. It's so good.
I know, man. Me too. It's kind of funny. Like, I that's a movie that I was excited for because of how ridiculous it looked. But then when I actually saw it, like, I was shocked by how much I liked it and how layered it was in terms of him being just a completely, for lack of better words, unhinged serial killer. Like, it's a serial killer movie, basically.
And it makes no qualms about showing you that right off the bat. And I think that you're totally right. Even when I saw the trailer, I remember being like, oh, that's, that looks pretty stupid. It's a stupid idea.
It would be easy for it to go off the rails and not be good. And totally. I'm shocked. Like, I'm going to be talking about another movie today too that I'm just like surprised by the reception that they've received. Like Unhinged, I think, has not gotten the love that it deserves. Like I think like a lot of people are just writing it off as like a stupid movie, and I really don't think it is. Like I just think it's a really fun thriller horror. Like it's definitely heavy on the horror stuff, especially near the end.
Yeah, and it kind of reminds me of something a little bit, honestly, like You Were Never Really Here, something like that, you know? It's kind of that middle of the... That'd be a really good comparison, because it's even extremely violent in the same way. I think this is and just kind of to mirror everything you said, like, this is really good, and I think it will get overlooked, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I'm happy you checked it out. Like I saw you post about it on Instagram, and that had me excited because I remember when the movie came out, we all shared, like in the group chat, we shared the trailer and we're kind of laughing about it. And then I remember getting out.
It's such a goofy trailer, honestly.
Well, and especially just seeing Russell Crowe look like such a unit, and like he really is just like Michael Myers in that movie at certain parts, like more like Jason. Like it is,
and just so calculated.
Yeah, no, I really liked it, and I think people are kind of being a little hard on it. I think that movie's a blast, but it's just crazy.
Are people being hard on it? I just felt like maybe people weren't like going to see it was maybe the problem.
Now, after talking to you, I can say that from pretty much every person that I know who has seen it, you and I are by far the most positive on it, which is a shame. But
know what? It's
got an audience. Where we are that audience.
I think the thing is that I've seen a lot worse, even stunts and special effects, like car scenes from movies with way bigger budgets. This has some great, like when the action hits in this, it does it so well too. So like definitely a movie that deserves more credit. Yeah,
it's on Netflix, I believe everywhere, so you can check it out whenever you want. That'd be a great fun time at the movies with your family. Oh no, I always recommend that one. I've been recommending it to my whole family, thinking that they'll love it. And
Mom, you're gonna love it. You remember Russell Crowe? He's killing everyone. He's mean as fuck. You're gonna love it, Mom.
He is so American, like true-blooded America. And no, it's a great movie. All right, what else you got? You want to share a couple more things?
Sure. All right, so I checked out, and I can't remember if I talked about this one, so I'll go quick if I have. I checked out HELLHOUSE LLC.
I don't think you did talk about it.
No, I don't think I did.
I think I'm mixing it up with seeing the stuff that you've posted on your Instagram. Right. But that's another one that I gave that one a super glowing review on the Terror Table a while ago. What did you think of it?
And I know a lot of people have, and this is a common theme. Is I've heard from a ton of people. I think way back in the day, even Dwight had mentioned this movie, and like that's like way back. But it's just. It took me a while, and I just decided I was finally going to watch it because that one's kicking around on Tubi, actually. So
wow.
if you want to watch a great movie for free, and I'll just say right off the bat, a great movie. There is something very. I don't want to overhype this movie, but there's something very special about this one. It captures a certain kind of vibe that you can't. I don't know, that you can't naturally produce. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's one of the better found footage movies of the last decade for sure, and it's like actually scary. And there are a couple moments that scared the shit out of me, specifically when I remember there's one scene where a guy wakes up in his bedroom and there's like a woman just sitting on his floor, and I'm like, oh man, like it sent chills down my spine when I saw that.
And it like when you read the kind of the tagline or the story basis of it, it does kind of sound silly that it's all these people working at like a, what would that be, like a fun house kind of deal, like a Halloween house, like what I did, and it's just basically the place that they go to do it is haunted, and it's just kind of what goes from there. And I want to say that not to overrate it again, but like we talk about certain movies like talk about Black Christmas, and I've always mentioned like The Tunnel has a certain vibe to it. Like this is another movie I consider with that. I think this movie's fantastic, and I think a lot of the best scenes just involve them using these areas and this location that they have to make it so much more scary. And that's what you can do if you like it just kind of goes to show that you can do a lot if you know like what to look for with that, because there's no huge crazy shit that happens in this movie. I'll be straight up, but it's the way it goes about doing what it does that is a very interesting movie. And I know there are 2 sequels to this, I believe. I haven't checked out either of them.
You're gonna have to let me know what you think of those. I don't want to tell you how
I'm a little weary
Yeah, not good.
I do feel like this is very much like a sequel, let alone two, is very much reaching. You know, I
Yeah.
think this is a great contained little movie. So
I think I know there are some people I think who have really liked both like 2 and 3, but
Mhm.
I always get them mixed up because I know like the fan base is very divisive on those ones.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that I know I'm way late to the party, but yeah, I'll throw my hat in there that I think HELLHOUSE LLC is incredible.
Awesome. I'm gonna toss in a quick review for a video game I just started playing last night. So
Okay.
I spoke last week about Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. I've been playing because I just bought my very first balls out awesome computer. So I have this like crazy gaming
You're an
computer.
elite gamer now.
Well, I bought it for video editing, but the thing is way overboard for just video editing. Like I can do other shit on here too, like
Right.
play games. And like I've never been that computer gamer guy. Like, you know, I was when I was 12 playing Diablo 2, but I got Xbox Game Pass for this thing because how it works is for the first month it's $1, and then I think it goes up to $16. But it gives you access to just tons of Xbox exclusive games. So I played Hellblade on that, but I also started playing last night Blair Witch. So the
Oh,
Blair
okay,
Witch
yeah,
video
yeah.
game that came out a couple years ago.
How
It's
old is
one
that game now?
I
Did
think
that
is
come out during quarantine or was that pre-quarantine?
I think it might have been early 2019 is
I
when it
feel
came
like
out.
yeah,
I
yeah, okay.
could be wrong, but yeah, the game just it follows a man and his dog. They head into the Black Hills Forest to search for a missing boy, and it's a really slow game to start and everything. I've only played about an hour and a half, so I can't give it a full review today. But what I can say is that they do a really good job of like working in lore for the Blair Witch Project. So there's a lot of like you find tapes on the road or on the path, and you put them in your camcorder and you investigate them. And you can also pull out your camcorder and use the night vision. So it's like all those moments are really cool. It definitely feels like the Black Hills Forest and Blair Witch Project. So I think they did a really good job with that. The only thing is, it's one of I just don't know if I'm built for these types of games where you have to explore and find like really small minor details to get to the next part. And I feel like this game has a ton of that. Like it's a lot of
You're not
investigating.
interested in that kind of busy work.
Yeah, I don't know. I personally like it could be just me sucking at the game, but it could also be that the gameplay is a little clunky. Is
I
the
no
way
no,
the
and
way
I think you're onto something there because I remember right when it came out, and even Tyler, my roommate, had gotten the game, and it was very buggy. So I was wondering if that's my question. I was going to ask you after is if it felt like it was still buggy, or if they had worked that stuff out because they've had
that
time.
that would explain my frustration at the current part I'm at. If that's still happening, I actually wasn't aware of that.
Yeah,
I didn't
there
know
was
that it was
a.
buggy.
I don't know if you had this issue, but I heard a big glitch for it was your dog would disappear a lot or
Oh
glitch
man,
out.
that happens all the time.
Yeah, there you
You-
go. So they
yeah.
didn't fix the fucking thing.
Well, no, but
It's
you
free.
can call them back and everything. But yeah, you use your dog to like sniff out certain parts of the forest, and like you find creepy bunkers. The atmosphere in the game is very creepy. So I do want to keep playing it. I want to give it more of a shot. But I just don't know if it's really pulling off what I wanted from it to
All
pull
right,
off, I
so
guess.
can I ask what kind is it if it's a spoiler or not? What kind of danger are you in at all in this game? Or could you literally walk around with the flashlight off and be fine?
Well, that's the thing is I'm not far enough in it to get, I think I'm on like chapter 4 or 5 in the game, and the chapters move pretty quick. Yeah, so far I haven't really come in contact with many of those. Like the most I've experienced so far is you'll find like the sticks hanging from a tree, and it'll make your dog just go bonkers. Like he'll be freaking out because that thing is
Because
obviously
he
cursed.
loves macrame sticks.
Absolutely, yeah. But
It
you like
triggers him.
yeah, you grab the sticks and you bust them up, and then that'll make like the high pitched sound that's like ringing in your dog's ears whenever he's around them. Like you destroy them, and inside you find a Polaroid, and all the Polaroids are different people standing in the corner. So that's cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
And you
that's why
gotta
I think
collect all however
yeah.
many there are.
Well, like you just got to piece the puzzle together so that you can find this kid that went missing. And I don't know, it's one of those things too where I'm sure, I'm almost positive they would have pitched this for a Blair Witch sequel at some point. But I think it's really cool how the game opens up with a search party, like going into the forest. And I think that would have been a cool jumping off point for a sequel to have like throw in a fucking SWAT team getting stuck in the Black Hills
So
forest.
You kind of want dog soldiers, but
Yes,
but
Blair Witch.
but Blair Witch, yeah.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. Is dog soldiers are like throwing a little bit of aliens, but the thing is like that would require seeing too much, and that's just not what the game is or the story. But I still think it's cool.
I like where you're going with it. I think maybe the SWAT team was a little much, but I think that the idea for a movie of having a search party at the start, getting lost, I think that's a great idea, and I think more movies should use ideas like that.
Well, there's so many different things you could do with it too, so especially if you throw in like police officers, so like they all have body cams. So that could be.
That would have opened so many more doors, right there.
Let's write it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, if Wingard can get it done.
Listening to us again, like.
Yeah, we'll get Eduardo's blessing. They'll throw Jar Jar Binks in the movie for him. But yeah, that's
Jar Jar Binks will be in the corner at the end. That'll be our ending.
Yeah, it'll be him standing. Misa Jar Jar. Oh my god. You just see they're walking through like the house at the end of like Wingard's Blair Witch, where you hear like screaming and stuff like that, but you just hear Jar Jar screaming out in the distance. Misa help!
Oh my god!
There's
a Star Wars Blair Witch spin-off somewhere in there.
Awesome. Okay, well, yeah, I only have one more, but I want to hear more from you. I know you got a bunch.
You have only one more? Holy shit! I was not.
Yeah, man.
Okay, so my next one is Sator. I believe it's called Sator or Sator.
Yes. Yeah, I started this one. I plan on finishing it, but I've heard a lot of talk about this one. What did you think?
I just want to say before I give it any true depth review of it, I want to say that Jordan Graham is like did everything for this movie. He's like the writer, director, producer, editor, everything for this film. And because it does have like a little Wikipedia, which I was surprised because looking up what year it was made and just kind of looking into it. And it took this movie 6 years of post-production to get out. So I just want to say that like kudos to him for doing all of that because he was all over this. But yeah, it's a cool story. I like the idea a lot. It uses trail cams and kind of
what is the idea?
So basically the idea is it's this family that's out together living in this kind of remote cabin. And there's this thing called Sator out in the woods, and it's trying to lure the family out. So very cool idea. It's got like a lot of folklore elements. It's really cool. It uses trail cams within there, and it kind of uses the idea of older equipment and having limited like Wi-Fi and stuff. So using kind of technology you haven't seen in a while. It uses that in a very cool way to kind of slow down time. I don't want to give too much away because it is very interesting. The atmosphere is great. I think the cinematography is really good for this. It does have a lot of cool things going for it. I just think that the characters aren't there, and it just kind of that's the big point of this film is it's a family trying to survive, right? But if you don't relate to the family or don't feel that they're a good representation of what a family is written as, it really takes away from that. I think there's a ton of cool stuff in this. It has a lot of great elements. It's just, the story, the blocks itself are great. It's just, the characters within it, I just found to be, the dialogue was weird, clunky. And you really didn't care about a lot of these characters. Like I cared more about a dog that was in this movie more than anybody else, which that happens a lot, but usually I want to care more about the movie than that, So there's a lot of great things in this, and I can see Jordan Graham going on to do a lot of great things. I just think that if this is his first thing, the characters fell a little flat. Yeah.
So like what would you compare it to? Like because when you look at the cover, it looks very similar to like the Wrong Turn 2021. It looks like there's like kind of like a Wendigo character on the front.
It is kind of similar to, I would say something like, I think a good comparison to another film, and nothing against this one either, but another film where great idea that didn't entirely have the story together was The Wretched. I think this is a film that's a lot like The Wretched, where we were expecting a lot out of it, and it just, it fell a little bit flat. And I think that that could be a lot of elements speaking to it, because I think there is an interesting story underneath this, but it wasn't put together on screen the way you'd want to see it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Do you want to knock off another one?
Sure. And this one is actually, Mitch, you'd called me right before we started, and I was like, hey, I got to go. I'm finishing up a movie here. So it's fresh in my mind, so I want to talk about it real quick. And it was number 10 trending on Netflix. I checked out What Lies Below. I've seen a lot of people talking about this.
Yeah. What'd you think?
I
turned it off.
I should have turned it off. I didn't. I kept going. I want to say that there was a couple cool. I think the cinematography is really well done. I think the audio department did a great job. But this was a mess, and it infuriated. The dialogue especially infuriated me.
Yeah, that's why I remember I turned it off, because I really don't like Mina Suvari.
Was she the mom or the daughter?
I can't remember, but she's the one who's in American Pie.
Fucking age.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I noticed
biggest
that too.
Frustration. You have this girl, and you think, okay, this woman's in her 20s, maybe mid to late 20s kind of deal, and then she's calling this other lady mom and acting like I think she's 17 and going off to college. It was too hard to believe. And then there's
Mina Savari's she's got to be close to 40, but I don't know. I just don't think she's a good actor though. She's Heather in American Pie, and she's in American Beauty. But yeah, I've never really been a fan of hers.
So this was probably just a paycheck. I can't see her dwelling in the horror genre a ton.
Well, no, she's on one of those lists of 10 celebrities who are now broke.
I saw
she showed up on one of those lists, and I think she this is not related to horror at all, but from this
just fucking bury her.
from this gossip column that I read, they're bringing up her multiple divorces and how she apparently her ex-husbands have taken her for so much money, because she was definitely she was an American Pie, American Beauty.
It's just funny that you keep, it's just funny that you mentioned those, and then thinking shit, those were a long time ago.
Yeah.
That money had to be gone by now.
She peaked at Loser, the movie that featured Teenage Dirtbag by Wheatus.
That's a good place to peak for sure.
Yeah, no, I did. Homie, listener, friend of the show, Cody, message you about this movie? Because he messaged me the other day about asking if I've seen it, and yeah, I know he watched it as well, but I didn't even know it was on Netflix right now. But yeah, I was not into it.
Where did you turn it off? How far did you get in?
Oh, honestly, actually, I think what happened was it was one of those ones where I just took a nap a half an hour in. I was like, I'm gonna have one of those nice afternoon naps instead of watching the rest of this. And I was planning on going back to finish it, but I'm like, life's too short. I'm going to watch the Snyder Cut again.
I honestly don't know what this movie's intention was. And this movie even had things that I like in it and I couldn't get on board. It had tentacly things and, there was a little bit of spookiness to it, but it's just so misguided and strange. And I think I will mention, just because, Mitch, you haven't seen the whole way through, is this movie is one of those movies that relies heavily on, if you've seen other horror movies, you kind of know what's going to happen. So there are some scenes where it literally doesn't even bother to explain how people get to different places. It just goes the route of, well, you should know because you've seen a movie do this very similar thing.
Yeah.
It's very much, as an example, it would be if they're hiding behind something and there's a monster over here and they kind of look one way, and then all of a sudden, instead of running or anything, they show up at their house, which is 2 miles away. So you're like, oh, did you run the whole it's stuff like that. And I know that you don't have to write in everything, but it felt really annoying because the movie also was it was an hour and 20, and it felt like it could have been more.
Yeah.
And and it was just, and I mean that in a bad way. It's it kept going.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So not a fan of What Lies Below. That's what it's called.
If it's anything to What Lies Below, This Is 40 is somehow trending at number 8. And didn't that movie come out 5 years ago?
Yeah, that's a bad movie too.
It is a bad. That's why I was like, why is this trending?
Well, I think it's just, when people see new stuff on Netflix or something that wasn't there before, and it's got, most people
Right.
aren't like us.
That seems
they
like a
just want to
movie
be
that would be
entertained.
trending when lockdown was still happening. Like, I
Yeah.
guess we'll try and laugh at this again.
Yeah, not a fan. All right, I got one more, so I'll knock this one off, and then I'll just let you. I want you to get all of yours,
Oh, I
all of
have
your
one more
bank
after
stuff.
this, and then I'm done.
Oh, okay. All right, perfect. Well, I'm gonna talk about Honeydew. So this is a movie that it comes out on April 15th, so it comes out next week. This is the one.
Looking forward to this.
Yeah. So it's written and directed by, pardon my butchering of this person's name, Devarro Milburn. I think Devarro is how you say it. But it's starring Sawyer Spielberg, which is Steven Spielberg's son, and Malin Barr. It follows a couple seeking shelter after being kicked off of a private property that they were camping at. And the young couple find shelter at an old farmhouse where a strange farmer and her sick son are basically just like expiring there, is what it seems. Like they're the guests in this house, so they're being fed strange foods in a strange environment surrounded by strange characters. And the movie lands somewhere between, in my opinion, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which a lot of people are saying for obvious reasons. Like the film has that 1974 kind of grit and the gross.
A little bit of the subject matter,
Yeah, definitely. And the whole family dynamic. But it's somewhere between like if Charlie Kaufman made the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So that's the guy who made like I'm Thinking of Ending Things and Anomalisa. So it's strange. Like those are the moments where those are the definite art house moments. The movie it leans pretty heavily into art house. I don't know. I think for fans of Dark and the Wicked, like those people who really enjoyed that movie are going to get something out of this one. I personally like Honeydew more than Dark and the Wicked, but I'm a big fan of Dark and the Wicked. I really like that movie. So this movie's
really good then.
I love it, man. So I saw this preparing for the film festival, and we wanted to play it, but the press kit wasn't ready. I know it floored all of the programmers that I know personally, and we thought it was all like wicked and crazy cool. But judging by it's seemingly divisive online now that it's starting to come out a little bit more. Like this is one that if we would have played it, it would have been in my top 5 of the year. Right. Like I thought it was fucking awesome. But yeah, like I said, it's seemingly pretty divisive responses online, which doesn't surprise me, but the overwhelming negativity that does shock me because I think this movie rules. Like I looked on IMDb and I think it's holding like a 4.2, and I'm like, what is going on? So like I feel like there's got to be some malicious reasoning behind the 1-star ratings on IMDb because
you could swear tainting the watering hole.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like people have a hate on for it, or else they just really hated the movie. But like to me, when I watched it, like this is not one of those movies where, like, I guess if you're really not a fan of like art house stuff like this, it's kind of already reminding me of like the release of Mother, where a lot of viewers were either triggered by something in Mother from something grotesque that they saw, which is entirely possible. But the movie could have also just flown entirely over their heads, which I think happened with a lot of people in Mother. This movie is definitely not like it's weird to compare it to Mother because it's nothing like that. Just in the way that it seems to be being received by audiences right now, it's surprising me. Like I was listening to a podcast out of LA and they were talking about it, and like both hosts were seemingly really not fans, and I was like, man, did we see a completely different movie or what's going on here? But so either way, this is going to be one where I think it's either really going to excite you or it's going to do absolutely nothing for you and maybe infuriate you. But I know like Jonathan Huertas, writer director of My Heart Can't Beat Unless You Tell It To, I believe he's friends with the filmmaker, but he became friends after seeing the movie, I believe, because yeah, he was a huge fan. I think he gave it a 5-star on Letterboxd. And I think it's awesome, man. Like I think this movie's wicked. So I definitely highly recommend people seek it out when it comes out. I believe it's this Friday, April 15th. So yeah, that's Dark and the Wicked, or sorry, Honeydew. But I should also say obviously everyone knows I'm a big Spielberg fan, but I really like his son as an actor too. I think he does a great job. Is he actually a
solid actor?
I think so. I think he's really good. And I think Malin Barr was very good as well. The characters.
That's I have son, right?
Yeah. Yes. Bingo. I have no idea what you're going to think of this one because
I have to see it.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it'll get a reaction out of you, but it's very weird and very gross. Like it's a very grimy, gross looking movie. Like it's really well shot, but like it just feels sticky. I don't know. I think that's a compliment for a movie like this. Like we're talking about a horror movie. So I think it really works, and I definitely recommend people checking it out. So once again, that is Honeydew.
Cool. And I have one more before we can get on to our main feature. And this one is another Tubi exclusive. And I just want to say before I do this one is that I'm really, over the course of time and over the course of this podcast, we've really broadened our horizons and watched much different things than when we first started, obviously. And I have to say, I watched 1957's Attack of the Crab Monsters. Fantastic movie. Maybe a little bit too many shots of people running up and down things, which drags the length of this movie out way longer than it needs to be. But this is a very cool movie. I have to say straight up, this is a very cool movie.
Okay, so Attack of the Crab Monsters. You found this one on Tubi?
Yes, sir. And it is a gem. They built an entire crab that actually it moves around. It speaks. The story behind this is really cool about these crabs, and they'll like assimilate people, and it gets their brain powers, and then they can like connect and talk to people through radios and stuff. It's very cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, the poster looks really cool. Just really pulpy.
Yeah, and I think that is definitely something, since even when we did like our House of Wax, our original, when we watched Dracula, stuff like that, that all definitely climatized me to be more interested in these. And Tubi has a great bin of older films like this. And I think this is actually one of the better ones on Tubi. And I'm not saying that just because I love crabs. I think this is genuinely just like a really fun movie.
Yeah, it's directed by Roger Corman as well.
My dude, Roger Corman.
Yeah. Is this the one where, was it South Park who did the crab people?
Yeah.
Is that what this is from?
This is based off of this.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, it looks fun. So I'm happy you enjoyed it. I see the crab monster effects look pretty wicked.
They definitely, and that's something you can always get from Corman. He was all about it. And I just want to say that it might not be as good as the Joker, but it's definitely good.
Get what you fucking deserve!
What the fuck? Where did that come from?
I promised Jeff that I would randomly throw in a Joker line at some point.
Okay. Yeah. That was my first guess, is that Jeff messaged you, but
Jeff put me to this.
All right. Well, do you want to talk about our main feature, Excision?
Yeah, let's do it.
Do it.
Dear God, my little sister is slowly dying, and my mom, as I'm sure you know, is a total bitch.
Chew with your mouth closed.
I'm planning on having premarital sex. I'd accept full responsibility for all my actions, but let's face it, he gave me hormones. Can you contract an STD from having sex with a dead person? Go to your room.
I've got some old jump ropes. I don't think so.
You are a very troubled little girl.
I want to lose my virginity to you.
People like Natalie need to be punched in the face. Take off your clothes, Anna. Mr. Cooper, I think I'm gonna be sick.
Tough it out.
It's not my fault I was born with a chemical imbalance.
She's a menace, and it is impossible to love her.
We are praying for a miracle. Some of your behavior has been downright sociopathic.
I don't know a teenager who doesn't profile as a sociopath.
I'm turning my life around. I realize it's not all about me anymore.
And welcome to our main feature presentation, in which we're going to be talking about Excision from 2012. Excision was written and directed by Richard Bates Jr. Some people like to call him Ricky Bates Jr. I've heard that thrown around online before. So, but this is the filmmaker behind. I'm sorry. I believe this was his first feature-length film. It came on 2012, and then after that, he followed it up with Suburban Gothic in 2014. Then 2016, we got Trash Fire, and in 2019, we got Tone Deaf. And he has a movie in development right now that is supposed to be coming out in 2021 called King Knight, which stars Aubrey Plaza, Matthew Gray Gubler, and I'm sure I'm going to be checking that one out because, yeah, this was my second Ricky Bates Jr. film. I saw Trash Fire back in 2016 with Diego, actually, at the Saskatoon Fantastic Film Festival, and I was a fan of that movie. Like, I thought it was pretty wild, very strange, very weird. And after watching Excision, I've realized that is just his style. Richard Bates Jr., he's got a very unique style to his films. But Buzi, this was a movie that you brought up to discuss on the show. Why is that?
You know, I can't remember where I saw it, but someone had posted a couple stills from it, and I was flipping through it. I can't remember where it was, and I was like, these look really interesting. So I did a little digging, and I went and checked out on Letterboxd, which has been a really great place to go if you want to know if you want to check something out. I'm finding that just looking up even the scores on Letterboxd is better than Rotten Tomatoes or anything like that.
Or IMDb.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Especially since you can follow people who you actually care about their opinion. So, like, I was able to see that there were some people that I know that I personally trust their opinions who had seen Excision and gave it a positive review. So I was looking forward to checking it out. Yeah,
and I never heard of this film. So I thought, you know, we weren't sure what we wanted to do next. So threw this out, and here we are.
Yeah. So what caught us was the synopsis. So Excision, it follows a disturbed and delusional high school student with aspirations of a career in medicine, but that goes to extremes to earn her the approval of her controlling mother. Yeah, and the movie starring, we have Annalyn McCord, who plays the lead role as Pauline. We have Roger Bart, Ariel Winter, Tracy Lords, and then Jeremy Sumpter, who, if Kyle would have been on this episode, I'm sure he would have been the first to mention that Jeremy Sumpter is the man who played the title role in Peter Pan 2003. He was also he plays young Adam in Frailty, a movie that I love.
Oh, Frailty.
Remember Peter Pan from 2003?
No.
Do you remember that movie?
I have no... Back it up. You're showing... What? And I do not recall that one at all.
So I walked out of this movie. It was in 2003.
You don't walk out of many movies.
No, but and granted, I was 13 years old, but this was back in the day when we'd go to Rainbow Cinemas, which is our theater that had $2 movies. So I spent a lot of time at Rainbow Cinemas, and I would go see everything there. Like I saw Zathura there. I saw lots of.
I like that.
Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Go for.
Well, yeah, it's the most memorable experiences. I saw House of Wax there, actually. The Paris Hilton joint. But yeah, so but the movie also, like, this thing has a pretty crazy secondary cast. Like we got some cameos, if you will, if you want to call them that. You have John Waters playing the priest, which is just hilarious. You know, anything about John Waters, him playing a priest is so funny. And then you have Malcolm McDowell from like Clockwork Orange and Rob Zombie's Halloween. He plays Mr. Cooper, the teacher. And then you got Ray Weiss from Twin Peaks. Like he plays the principal. So you just look at those three things alone: Twin Peaks, Clockwork Orange, and pretty much anything by John Waters, and you can kind of get an idea of where Richard Bates Jr.'s inspirations lie. And you see a lot of that in Excision. But with all that, let's just start talking about it. So what were your thoughts on Excision, Buzi?
I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And as it slowly unraveled, I was kind of, this movie's definitely, it takes a while to get in gear. It definitely feels it definitely feels itself out and takes its time developing your character, because you spend time with such a complicated character. You need so many relationships to feed off of that to build this character. And I guess I want to hear what you think, but long story short is I actually really enjoyed this movie. I think that this had a lot more depth and a lot more, things to offer in terms of a story than I did not expect a lot of this movie, I guess is what I'm going for. It was a fun surprise.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I can just get out of the way right now as well and say that I enjoyed it as well. Like, this was a really cool find, movie that I'm happy that I finally seen now. I need to revisit Trash Fire to know which one I enjoy more, but I do remember I really liked Trash Fire just because it had, like, you could just tell that this guy's style is to create characters and performances that those characters can live in, and they have very memorable character arcs. Like you look at pretty much anything Pauline goes through in this movie. She's such an interesting protagonist to follow, who obviously is evil. Like we see that how emotionally disturbed she is, and
she's not an ideal main character to be in the shoes of.
No, yeah, you're following this woman who has a psychosexual fantasies, and she dreams of one day being a surgeon, and everything about her is just very calculated and figured out. Like, she knows exactly who she is and what she wants from her life, and has no regard for anyone around her.
So she's a sociopath, like 100%. Totally.
And she even mentions in this one, I can't remember exactly where it happens, but they do bring up borderline personality disorder, and that's a disorder that it's so clear that she has. Up. Yeah,
she was talking about what she was going to get diagnosed with to get not kicked out of school or whatever.
Yeah, and this is just one of those really cool independent horror comedies. Like, it's definitely leans more into the comedy than anything. But it's like, it's got that dark, for lack of words, suburban gothic feel to it. And that's the stuff that I really enjoyed about the movie. I really like the style and how you can see this guy's different influences, just like he wears them on his sleeve. And it definitely helps when you have characters like John Waters in your movie. It just made, like, the whole aesthetic of the film, it just makes a lot of sense.
There's these weird fever dreams, and that kind of enhance the story, but in the way complicate it, because you're trying to figure out, like, distill the information you're given in a lot of these.
Yeah, well, it's kind of a confusing film, like, just because you have an unreliable narrator, you're following this person who has these delusions and this illness, and she like, there's sequences. The movie opens up with just a very strange sequence where she's facing off with herself, and it gets bloody and gory and grotesque. And that's something that kind of carries on throughout the rest of the movie. But there are little subtle hints towards other movies that I've seen. Like, if Kyle was going to be here, I was going to say that Jeremy Glazer ripped this movie off, the director of Under the Skin. Because, like, obviously, I don't actually think that, but that's a prime example of one of those things that I say to my co-host to get a rise out of them, and then people take my word as scripture for myself. Like, oh, that's actually what
Mitch puts it on wax.
I totally do. Yeah, I would have said that to fuck with Kyle, but there are many sequences where you have Pauline, like, crawling over a group of bodies, and, like, it's like a very art house aesthetic, black floor, half naked people, and tons of nipples.
It's
tons
like
of nipples
sexual,
in this one,
but at a certain point also not. I don't know, there is something very it kind of is like she's kind of discovering herself, so there's like this weird sexual tension, there's like violence kicked in there. It feels like you're trying to figure out what she's going through as she does.
It just feels like you're watching these characters play through very unusual situations, and from following the movie how she thinks and the way that her brain works. And so it always makes it uneasy when other people are around her, especially seemingly normal people, like particularly Jeremy Sumpter's character, the jock that she convinces to sleep with her, because she like has this fantasy of, like, she wants to be on her period when she's losing her virginity, and it just shows that she really doesn't care about anyone's pleasure except for her own. And she doesn't care about anyone's needs except for her own. And everything that she does is calculated. And Yeah, it's very strange, but I really enjoyed it.
That's very true, and it is fun watching her process the people around her. Because you're right, she is kind of in a weird way. I can't remember the main character's name. Do you remember?
Pauline.
Pauline is very. I think even someone mentioned in the movie she is very toxic to everyone around her, and no one really tries to directly help her. So it is kind of watching her get revenge in a weird way, but also in her mind, you're watching what she's doing, and especially at the climax and the end of the film here, it makes sense, because she's been preparing for a lot of it. It's very cool. I don't think that a lot of movies like this come out, and I think this one's really well done.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. You can tell that it's a lower budget movie, and that is not meant as disrespect. It's, if anything, the opposite. It's really cool seeing what they're able to pull off with such, like, just unique set pieces. And obviously, I think the most important thing you can tell from Richard Bates Jr. is the tone and the atmosphere and interesting characters. Like, that's what is really his thing, is to put some really surreal, strange characters that we're not comfortable with.
The killing of the sacred deer kind of stuff. Yeah, like you're put in these situations with these characters, and it's like a normal human's response would be this or that, but you're with these characters who maybe their response is murder.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is like all the other characters in the movie are it's like almost like everyone in the movie is sick in their own way, but we're focusing on hers, because like Pauline's, because she is just the most violent and grotesque, and she's having the most profound impact on everyone with her different, like the different things that she wants to get into, like surgery and anything to do with blood, basically. Like, she's very fascinated with the macabre. Just the relationship with her and her mother is one of the most interesting things about the movie, because you have to expect that, like, she's got to be some kind of like a fundamentalist Christian of some sort, where you just, this is the absolute worst daughter that a person like that can have.
Oh yeah, pushing all the wrong buttons.
Yeah, and we see that come to head in the movie when, you hear the parents fighting and discussing how she's unlovable, like they can't do anything with her, and you see the really strange relationship that she has with her family. Like, you have her little sister is sick and dying, and you can just tell the whole movie that the parents wish it was the other way around. They wish it was the other daughter. And that's something that we see fully come to a head at the end, and I think it makes for a really memorable ending.
Oh, I was not expecting that ending at all, and what a fun surprise. I think that was a great way to end it. But I also do like the idea that throughout the film she is diagnosing either herself or other people, but it ends up being things that are relatable to her, like you said, with like the BPD, I believe she called somebody like a sociopath, which is like another thing. She mentioned Munchausen, which is something it seems like she was starting to exert upon herself to, you know what I mean, to get out of things. Like, she was stealing the Epicac and everything. It was very interesting. Yeah,
she was basically doing that to herself and making it look like her mom was doing it to her. So it just makes her even more twisted.
She would constantly diagnose herself to try and get out of things. It's very fun to watch somebody twist those gears.
Yeah. Did we ever figure out, like, does she just have really bad acne, or was that actually herpes that she got from her dad herpes. Saving her? Oh my God. Okay, so I was wondering if that was like actually how it happened. But that's, so gross and unfortunate.
Well, and that it fits perfectly with the characters, because you have a father who, for lack of, every time he tries to do something positive, it gets turned around on him. And like that, he said, like, he saved her life, but also now she has herpes.
Yeah, so he had a cold sore in his mouth, and she was drowning in a pool, so he had to give her mouth to mouth, and then basically, I think she just believed that it was acne. Teenagers, they have acne. They got to deal with that. Her hygiene is absolutely disgusting in the movie. Like, I love seeing her in the environment of her classmates, and you see just how different she is than everyone else. There's some really awesome moments. Like, one of the best lines in the movie too is, "Can you still get an STD from fucking a dead person?" Having sex with a dead person, and everyone's like, "What?" But yeah, and then you have like, what's his name? He's the guy he's in Matthew Gray Gubler. So he is most famous for Criminal Minds.
What an unfortunate last name.
Yeah, it is. But the thing is, he's a really funny character, and I think he offers a lot of levity to the movie. And I know that he's one of the stars of Suburban Gothic as well, and that's not one, I believe it's on Shudder, so I want to watch Suburban Gothic after watching this. And yeah, it's just so weird, but I just can't, like, it's so gross looking at her in those situations because she stands out like a sore thumb.
Did you ever have? Yeah, she does, and it's so funny. You have all these other characters who are all make-upped up, and then it looks like her. Yeah. They just like stripped her down and then like hosed her with garbage or something.
Yeah, it looks like she bathed in garbage.
I do have to ask, Mitch, when you were in high school, did you ever have those kids who thought it was cool to not bathe? That like that was a thing.
I don't know if they thought it was cool to not bathe, but they just were never taught to bathe and how important it is. Oh man, are you kidding me? Like, those people exist everywhere. Body odor is one of the most subtle forms of terrorism. It really is. I'm sure that sounds wildly insensitive. But
we had one kid. I wasn't in a class with him. I was in a class with a couple of people that were, but he tried to go a month without like taking a shower or anything, and I'm pretty sure he got sick. So he thought it was a good idea to just not, it was a conscious decision to not shower for a month. He was like, I'm going to do it for a month, see how long I can go without showering. And
so you just get a bunch of scabies and like
no idea.
Sores. Oh, that's gross. Yeah, no, it's very unfortunate, but yeah, hygiene is not at the top of the list for a lot of people, which is very, very unfortunate.
You know what? Yeah. That's the important thing we took out of this is, guys, keep up on your hygiene. It's very important.
Yeah, and maybe don't tell someone to go down on you if you're on your period.
Yeah, that was a little. I kind of when he was doing that, I was like, no, my dude, no.
Another one fallen.
Rest in peace.
But no, but that's obviously an important scene in the movie because it shows like her lack of empathy for him. Like she doesn't give a shit about this guy. Like, she's just using him, and she gets a kick out of it. Like, she enjoys that her blood was on his face, and that's the character we're dealing with here. So I just really like those.
Just to, like, act out a fantasy, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's just that I do like these types of movies where they just give us really strange characters and we just kind of watch them maneuver their way around in this other world that they're so clearly not meant to be a part of. So I think there's obviously a lot of themes of alienation and like understanding like where, like, trying to find yourself and where you belong in the world. That sounds a lot more hunky-dory and happy than what this movie is, but I think that there's an underlying layer that's.
I would agree. I think at the base level, that's the ideas we're dealing with. There's definitely a lot more on top of that. Like Mitch was saying.
Yeah, but it's definitely one. So I don't know if you're listening to this and you haven't seen it. God, that dog is cute. I'm sorry. You have two dogs in the background of you, and one of them's looking at me right now. The one up against the wall.
Oh, hi, Layla. That's Layla.
Oh, hi, Layla. But yeah, no, it's a wild movie. I'm like, are you curious to continue on with Richard Bates Jr.'s filmography?
You know, that's the kind of one where I'm having a hard time with. I was never, maybe I'll get crucified for that, but I was never like a huge like Twin Peaks guy. You know, it's just like I've seen some of it and it never caught on for me. I did like this movie a lot. How many I could watch? Like, I think this is kind of that thing where I could maybe watch 2 of these a year. So I'm sure I could get through his filmography. It would just take a while.
You appreciate it, but it's not necessarily your thing.
Exactly, because I mean, as much as I did like this movie, it's a hard, like, I can't imagine being like, yo, let's throw this on a random Saturday. It's just, there's a lot going on in this movie, and it's dealing with a lot of heavier issues.
But this is a prime example of the type of movie. I had to ask John, because if it played, I wouldn't have seen it then. But I asked John from the film festival if they played this movie, but I guess they didn't. But this is the type of movie that I like seeing at the festival. Like, I like seeing these types of movies with the crowd because you get reactions out of people who are just dealing with very strange ideas on screen, and that's totally what seems to be his style.
And I agree. It's fun to watch those in an audience where you're watching a movie that pushes social norms. So you are going like, oh my God, what are they doing?
Yeah, and I know I did mention Twin Peaks earlier on, and I know you said you've only checked out a few episodes or whatever, but the Twin Peaks correlation is pretty thin. It doesn't really feel like Twin.
It just has those kind of like those oddball characters, is I guess what I'm getting at, and those off-putting stories. This isn't your classic, here's your good guys and your bad guys kind of deal. And I'm not saying that's all I like, but it's just sometimes everyone in a movie is so twisted in their own way that it's, it's harder to stomach those movies all the time.
Yeah, and that's the one possible correlation it could have with Twin Peaks, that and Ray Wise being in the film himself. Mm-hmm. But I definitely, you just see the influences of this style of cinema. And like like I said, I haven't seen Tone Deaf. I haven't seen his latest movie. But these are like, I'm definitely interested to keep up with his work and check out his other stuff. I really want to watch Suburban Gothic now, just because I did really like Matthew Gray Gubler in the movie. Well, that's unless we start really fully discussing a bunch of different spoilers in the movie, which we've already sort of done.
This is one that there's a lot to discuss. You're right. There's not a lot to discuss for this, but I think it's more like those ones where, like, if people want to listen to this and then go watch it themselves, they'll find a movie that they probably haven't. See.
Yeah, especially if you know that that's generally your style of horror film. Like, this is definitely, like, it's another black comedy. I think we've done a couple of these recently, not even meaning to, but like The Voices has some things in common with this movie as well. Mm-hmm. But if you're generally into those kinds of dark, weird, dark black comedies with some heavy horror, then this is one that you should definitely check out. But I don't really have anything else I would add on it. I think we covered it pretty good. How are you feeling? Do you have anything you want to add?
No, I think this is just kind of a fun little one-off. If anyone listens to this and does kind of like what we were talking about or what we were saying, go check out the movie for sure. It's a lot of fun, and especially for somebody's first film. I know it came out quite a while ago, 9-10 years, but what a fun film. And I also just kind of want to take a moment to say thank you everyone for all the support with Dr. Loomis. I am deeply appreciative to every single person that was, you can't really put into words how much it means for people to just come out and be so supportive. Like, it was wild.
Let's quickly share that here for the people who don't know. So can you just re-chronicle the situation?
Walk us through it. Yeah. So I came home, and I'd stayed over at my girlfriend's. I came home and Loomis was missing. So kind of freaked out, and I posted about him, and people just started sharing right away. And I
laughed my ass off at that. I'm sorry. Like, I felt bad that Loomis was gone, but the way you put it, you're like, attention, I have an APB out for my sweet fucking son.
Yeah. I had to take the fucking out after, because I was like, oh, strangers are, Yeah. And maybe that's just the way I word everything, is I everything's so, like, sarcastic to me. Like, even I made like wanted posters for him and shit. Anyway, he ended up coming back after 2 nights out, and then he instantly got very sick and was like dying in my house, and my dog was like freaking out and whining at him, so we ended up taking him to emergency. And yeah, basically he had to have surgery, and we got all these wild quotes for all these bills, so we were just like, we don't have the money for it, so we set up a GoFundMe. A bunch of people were like, hey, that's what you should, because we were asking like, oh, what are we gonna do? And we had a whole bunch of people be like, hey, just try a GoFundMe, see if we can do anything. So we threw that up on there, and it went super well, and I'm deeply thankful for every single person that donated. You helped us out so much and brought the little dude home.
Yeah, no, he's doing good. He's on the road to recovery, looking cute as hell.
Hell yeah. And I love that cat. It's cool. He's got a couple shave spots now. He looks kind of rough. Like, he's got all his IV points. So I'm thinking maybe if I just like shave a couple more spots on him just for fun, no one's going to know the difference.
God. If you got a bunch of money to save that cat and then you fucking shaved half of it, I don't know how people would respond.
That's how I celebrate. I just shave half a cat.
Yeah. Give him the little booties, like just for his paws, just the paws, tail, and head. Those are the only things that aren't shaved. Yeah, so happy that worked out, and it was really nice. Even my sister Tara, she texted me saying that like it was filling her heart by seeing so many Terror Table listeners donating and helping out. So that is amazing, and it's great to know that we have this community here. And
internally grateful to every single person, and I hope that and anyone who did you'd reach out or anything, I tried to send everybody a personal thank you. I literally spent like 8 hours like writing thank you letters to people.
Yeah. You had there were some crazy anonymous
and that's
donations.
The thing is I couldn't message some of those people. I did find out some of them though.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, yeah, this was fun. And thank you everyone for listening. And we will be back next week to talk more horror movies and always keep the conversation on horror at the Terror Table. Later, everyone. Have a great day, night, whatever. Good night. Good morning.